Well, this is Baruch Fleischman here at the Tikkun Elevator call for the 5th day of the week of Parsha Shemot. And today, this is the day of Hod. Hod is really the bottom of the left line. So it's the concept of the buck stops here. So here we are, we're gathering together, we're trying to make things happen. So we're here on page Reshut Aleph. We're going to go down to the bottom of the page. I'm going to pick up a Zohar over here. It's a short Zohar, very nice little piece. So the Zohar starts here in this word, Bianheg as Hatzon Achra Midbar. And Moshe led the flock behind the Midbar. Now, Achra Midbar is a word that we're going to go through that idea. What does it mean after the Midbar? Rabbi Yossi says, Moshe Miyon Shanolad. So now he says this fact. The Moshe Rabbeinu, for the day that he was born, Lo Zazim Emena Ruach HaKodesh. That which is called the Ruach HaKodesh never left Moshe. Aval Nevuah, but then Maltuk wants to add onto this that it doesn't mean that he was a prophet. Aval Nevuah Heseg Rak Acher Kach. He only reached the level of Nevuah, which is apparently a much higher level, only after this time. Rabba Ruach HaKodesh, so this Ruach HaKodesh that allowed him expanded consciousness. And this is what really Rabbi Memran is talking about all the time in his little book. As he's trying to show us how we can expand our consciousness, especially in difficult situations. So he said, after that is a Rabba Ruach HaKodesh, so he saw in this Holy Spirit, She'osa Midbar Hoya Kodesh, he could see that this desert was something special, called Kodesh. And in that particular piece of ground, that it would be fit for the yoke of the kingdom of heaven to be rested on the Jewish people. Kisham ruach hakodesh misareres bo yoser mikol makom acher, more than any other place. So Ma'asa, what did he do? Hinhig es hatzon achra midbar. He started leading his flock away from the midbar. He honored the place, that he knew there was something special here. So he never went into this place with his flock. Rabbi Yitzchak says, so we understand that Moshe Rabbeinu, when it says this, he didn't take the flock over there. So Moshe Rabbeinu, he says, Rabbi Yitzchak Omer, he adds, and he looks at this phrase and he says, Achara Midbar, after the Midbar, after the desert. Amilas Acher, so when he says the word Acher, Pirusha Rochoch Muflug, the explanation of this is that he went far away from it and separated from it completely. It was in a different neighborhood. The Horos, and this is in order to be able to teach, Ki al kal panav lo midbar. But in any case, wherever they weren't in that desert. Now, Pirush, so the Mata can explain this a little bit. And he said, let me get the focus going here. Hello? Yep, there you go. So he said, the Hishtadl Shebishum Ofen. So this is what the effort that he made, that there would be no way, Lo Yakansu B'midbar, that they will not go into this bit of desert. Levi Shalo Rosh Yakansu L'Socho, because he saw, Shalo Rotza, he did not want Shayakansu B'Socho, that should come into it. Why? Machmas Kedushasa, the bunch of animals running over this mountain. But he made them distant away, in the desert, behind the desert. Now, Achra Midbar. Shalfilu Karov Lahar, because he says like this, even near Har Sinai. Lo Choya Manhegason Shema, Hishamed Achad Bechem, he didn't try to get them even a little bit close to it, because he thought maybe one of them would separate itself from the rest of the flock. But the Allah Lahar, and he would go up into the mountain. But instead, he led them, his flock, as far away as he could from the mountain. Therefore, V'yavo el Har Sinai Choreva. So he came to Har Sinai Choreva. The Choreva means really empty or destroyed. He says, Shemashma, so this Choreva means ki hu levado, below tzon. So he came by himself. Everything else was not with him anymore. Ki hesher es hatzon rachok min, because he left the sheep far away from the mountain. So now the Zohar wants to look at this and wants to say Vatam Adavar, Sheba Moshe Lahar. So why did Moshe come to the mountain to begin with? He was seeking the mountain. And we started off this little shtickle Zohar to say that Moshe had Ruach HaKodesh, and he had it from the time that he was born. Amar Rabbi Yehuda says like this, Hi Ava the Makab the Parzel. So he says, Eben Zu. So let's take the certain type of stone. O Moshechas and Makabelas Barzel. It pulls towards itself and sticks onto iron. They call this Shikorin magnet. This is a magnet. These are the words right here. Shikorin magnet. Because when he says that when the needle, shell barzel that's made out of metal or iron, roa oso, when it sees this magnet, kofetzis alach, it jumps onto it. I mean, it's uncontrollable, it gets pulled onto it. Kach Moshe v'Har Sinai k'shenir zeh bezeh. So just the same way is that Moshe, not just Moshe, but also Har Sinai, when they came near to each other and they saw one another. Daleg alav, Moshe al Har Sinai. Moshe jumped onto Har Sinai. He was pulled like a magnet with a little needle. This is the meaning of this phrase, and they came to the mountain of Elokim. Choreva, this place, Choreva Pirish Shabal Lefi Shahirgash, as Kedushas Hahar. So he came to Choreva, and he came there because he could feel the sound, the vibrations of the mountain. Amar Rebbe Abba, and I think vibration is a really good word here. So Amar Rebbe Abba says like this, Lo Rak Shahirgash Bekedushas Amakum. It's not just that he felt the vibrations of the Kedusha of the place. But it's not just that he came across this, and as a result of that, he knew something was going on. But actually, this is a situation. The Muchanim were prepared, from the beginning of creation. That is the mountain for Moshe. And in that moment, the mountain started making movements towards Moshe. Because the Shekhinah came down and then she was there at the Har, at the mountain, before Moshe was. So that since that she saw, the Shekhinah Kavayachal saw that he was coming into her Gavul, her into the mountain, the Socha V'Dilegbo, and jumped onto, now I don't know who the bow was on him, Amma the Har, and the mountain stopped. In other words, they're drawn to each other like magnets. Pirish nishkat his ragshoso. That is, that when Moshe came to the mountain, it all settled down. It became quiet, and it stopped vibrating. Malamed shesmechim koyizechim, to tell you know that they came to a unity one together, and they were tremendously happy one with the other. Now the Zohar says like this, a Shekhinah, that is, he adds, the Matok adds a Shekhinah in Moshe. Amar Rabbi Yanai comes of who Moshe v'Amar, he's going to add a little more onto this thought. Ki Yedei Haya Moshe, that Moshe knew old Melifnei Shebal D'Sham. Moshe knew before he came to this place, She'ol Sahar, that mountain, Har Elokim, is really the mountain. Now Elokim is a Lashon Din, it's a Lashon judgment. So, of course, this is where the judgments of the Torah are. These are the 10 Commandments. So, it's not the 10, but 613. But I mean to say is that this is, Elokim is always Lashon Din. Har Elokim hu. There said, V'yava Har Elokim, that he came to the mountain of God. Har Elokim, that is that when he came, in other words, it says that he came to the mountain of God, meant that he knew already that that's what it was. It's not. It says like this. Ma Rosha Ma Ra Moshe Ba'ol Sahar. What did Moshe see about this mountain? So he says, well, it's very simple. Ra Ofa Shahoyu Porchin Uvorshin Kanfechem Velohoya Niknasimbo. Below Hoya Niknasimbo. He saw birds that were around, and they were flying around, and they had their wings spread, and they were going this way and soaring in that direction, but they did not enter into that space. And why? Machbas Kedushasa. So here he's saying something interesting. He's saying that animals animals like birds and his sheep and so on and so forth stayed away from this place, because there's something about the kedusha of the place that doesn't allow for wildness. I guess I'm trying to understand it. So Rebbe Yitzchak then added this: She'edach masbig zeh ki shema machmas pachad chayus rohos lo choya niknas. So he said, what you're saying is that Moshe saw all these birds flying away, or they were flying towards it, but then they steered away. So maybe that's not the reason why. Maybe they saw some other kind of beast out there that scared them. Ella raw ufos porchim, but when we say that he saw the birds that were flying, the tossing and soaring around over his head, and from the place that they were up in the sky, neufling the raglo shal Moshe, they all fell down by the feet of Moshe. So what did he get out of this? So now Moshe saw that there was something very special about the vibrations for this mountain. And then he saw the birds that were running away from it. And then he saw other birds that fell at his feet. So now the Matuk explains like this. He says, Hevi, Shehu Yachol Lekanes Baraglov, so they understood that he could come in on foot. Veremez Koya Bezeh. So there is a reference here. Ki HaKodesh Baruch Hu Herelo Shebeschus Kabbalah Satara. That he said, this is really, what is the metaphor? Why is the Zohar bringing us the idea of birds? That's what really the Matuk is trying to say. He said, HaKodesh Baruch Hu Herelo, he showed him this, when all of these birds fell at his feet, Shebeschus Kabbalah Satara, that in the merit of accepting the Torah, Kala umas nimshalos laofos, so all of the birds, which are really poetically compared to birds. So he says, all the nations who are poetically compared to birds, yiplu tachas raglov, they will fall underneath Moshe and the Torah of Moshe. Miyad hirgish be'inyan, and immediately when he saw all of this and he immediately understood anything. Shehu roy lakones. When he saw the birds fall like that, and he understood the concept of birds, then he knew that it was time to enter. He left the flock far away, and he entered in levado, by himself. This is Baruch Fleischman for the Tikkun Elevator Kollel.